This episode of What the Tech is brought to you by Braintree Payments. Mobile app development can be complex, but integrating your payments no longer has to be. With Braintree, your business can accept nearly every type of payment from any device with just one integration. Learn more at braintreepayments.com/whatthetech. And by Harry's, for guys who want a great shave experience for a fraction of what you're paying now. And just in time for the holidays, get $5 off one of their ready-to-gift shave sets with the offer code WhatTheTech at harrys.com.
What the tech?
Everybody, welcome to What the Tech. I'm Andrew here, and of course, I'm joined by Mr. Paul Thurrott. How you doing, Paul?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. You know,
how are you?
One day, you're just going to go into this huge thing. We're like, Andrew, I'm not feeling 100%, but it's okay today.
I'm glad you asked, Andrew, because actually there's a bunch of things going on in my life right now, emotionally and physically, and I'd like to step through them right now, if that's okay.
You know what's going on right now with me? So, my earbud, for whatever reason, the plastic broke, and the metal is just like putting pressure on my ear, and it's absolutely intolerable right now. Oh my God. It's like one of these loop arounds. Have you ever used these?
Yeah. Yep.
It's really, really terrible. So sorry, guys. This is going to be really hard for me to deal with today. I apologize already in advance. Guys, we have so much to talk about. Today is the best of 2016. Last year, apparently we went with the worst of first, and everybody told us they loved the worst of, but they wanted after the best of. Because it'll always turn into the worst of.
It's like a season cliffhanger.
It's a cliffhanger.
Season-ending cliffhanger.
It's a cliffhanger. This is what we lead you with. There's so much that happened this year, and a lot of positive steps in the right direction, especially with television, with VR, with laptops, software. There's so much to talk about. But let's take a minute and talk about our sponsor, and that's Harry's. Guys, the holidays are here. Christmas is around the corner, and what a great way to say how much you love the man in your life, the guy in your life, your father, your brother, your husband, with a beautiful, beautiful shaving set from Harry's. Right now, I was just told, because you guys are so awesome, they're almost out of the holiday set right now, the holiday shave set. So this is what they've done. They've opened this offer up to all of their shaving sets. You see, I'm losing my voice. I told you I'm going to lose my voice. You get $5 off at harrys.com when you use the code WhatTheTech at checkout. But at harrys.com, use WhatTheTech at checkout. I have to tell you, I have ordered 5 different Harry's shaving sets. One for my father, one for Jess's grandfather, one for Jess's stepfather, one for Jess's. Almost every person in my family is getting a Harry's shaving set because they are extremely useful. The set comes with the razors, the blades, the cream, the aftershave products, which if I had it here, I would tell you exactly what's in it. The personalized, the wonderful engravable Winston set is available there also. They have unbelievable stuff in that kit. And I have to tell you, I've been using a Harry's razor for a couple of years now. And I tell you guys the story all the time about how I used to buy these cheapo disposable razors on a regular basis, and it worked fine for me until they stopped working fine for me because the company got really cheap, and I barely get through 2 shaves with these things. With my Harry's razor, since I don't shave too often, these things last forever because they're high quality. I love Harry's, and you guys should experience it too. Get $5 off a shaving set when you use the code WhatTheTech at harrys.com. I want to thank Harry's for supporting the show. Guys, this is a great gift for the holidays. Paul, why don't we begin with, I have to say, a couple of years ago, we said that how TVs were the big thing. When we do the best of, it was the year of the TV. And
what year was that? 1961?
1961 was the year of the TV. No, whenever we do this, every year it goes in ups and downs. Last year, I believe we said how, was it the year before, how 3D TV was this? I hated it. I did not get it. It was not a thing for me. It was just another gimmick. I was really disappointed that they didn't, improve on the quality. I really thought last year would have been the year of 4K, but it seems like this year was the year of 4K because these 4K sets, these beautiful 4K sets have gotten super inexpensive. HDR has been introduced, and they are moving off the shelves this year.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of pushback from people on the 4K thing. It's really interesting. I think, HD or full HD, 1080p has had kind of a good run, but I think this is the year, and I think this holiday season we're going to see an explosion of 4K sets. But the 4K goes by different names. I threw UHD in there. I think a lot of people use UHD, like Ultra HD. Right?
Yeah.
But I also think that this HDR technology, right, high dynamic range, is as important, and that if you are going to go 4K, you need to make sure you get an HDR capable set as well. It makes a huge difference.
Is that the make or break? Like, is this maybe a really crappy analogy, but is regular UHD the 720p of this generation of television, and the HDR would be the 1080p?
Yep. Yeah, it's not an exact comparison, but yes. And the reason is the lesser thing looks fine until you see the other thing, and then you can never unsee it.
Yeah.
And once you've experienced 4K with HDR, it's over. And Netflix has content that is in this format. Microsoft has built it into the Xbox One S, and so there are video games now that use HDR, not with 4K yet, right? The current gen Xbox can't play for a full function or full. They can't even pull full HD, but they don't. But they do HDR in the games, and if you have such a set, it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Have they standardized HDR on the television yet? I know that was the big question going into the year with a lot of these sets that were coming out, where there was really no standard that was winning.
So there were a couple of different versions of it, I guess, and I don't remember the name of it, but basically the one that has taken off is kind of the ad hoc standard, I guess you'd call it.
Okay.
Is that the right term?
I guess so.
The market has decided kind of thing. It's the one that Microsoft chose to support in the Xbox One S, basically, whatever that's called.
I'm really excited for this. And in 2017, obviously, the prices are going to come even more down. And, TV kind of made a comeback last year. A lot of people were holding off on these television sets, and rightfully so, except for me.
By the way, I was one of them.
I was too.
And in fact, what put it over the top for me, because I know there are people out there right now listening to this or watching this and saying, nope. This stuff isn't ready. I'm not ready for it. It's too expensive. Whatever.
I get it.
It's fine. I was in the same exact place, and I have a collection, a family of non 4K displays all over my house. I mean, what are you going to do? And then we got that display for work for the podcast we do with Brad for Spring Daily, and I had it in my office for a couple of weeks, probably
it's
before.
Beautiful.
It's astonishing, and I brought my wife and my daughter in, and I said, you need to look at this. You need to see what this looks like. I bought a couple of Blu-ray discs that support 4K HDR, and and so we bought one for ourselves. And
you know what's interesting?
I was never going to buy this thing.
I was holding off for a long time, and I did see your 4K, the one in the living room, and I saw the one downstairs. And before a lot of these, Think about how long 1080p was out there, right? I would say you had a good 10 years of purchasing affordable TV sets, 1080p TV sets for you to kind of go in and out of replacing TVs and getting new ones and thinner ones. But now this is the new standard. And like me, I have a brand new 1080p set in my living room. I have a brand new 1080p set in my bedroom. This is probably the first time I'm most likely going to replace my TVs without them going bad. And now my question is, what do you do with these 1080p TVs that you have that you're taking out? Do you give them away? Do you sell them? I don't know what the market's like. What do you do when you get rid of these TVs? Especially if they're pretty new.
What am I going to do? I mean, so
I almost feel like it's a waste.
I should add, the other day on Twitter, I asked the world, I guess, I'm looking at getting a 27-inch-ish 4K display for my computer.
Mm-hmm.
I can't break the bank. I can't stress this enough how I am not rich. And I was hoping to be a deal in tandem with the holidays, and I got a couple of good recommendations. I ended up getting a Dell. I don't have it yet, but it's going to replace this ginormous think this is a 35-inch display. It's a 2560 by 1440, probably, whatever. Too big, too bright is part of the reason I'm so washed out here. Display, but I mean, 4K. We have 4K displays on laptops. I'm not doing 4K on my desktop computer, and I need to get going on that. I want to get into 4K gaming on the PC. I've got a 4K gaming laptop from HP that I'm in the middle of reviewing. This is something that spans. It's not just televisions, right? Apple talks about Retina displays. On the Microsoft side, we talk about Pixel Sense displays, but what we're really talking about is 4K or 4K-ish displays of all sizes on all kinds of devices. And I think 1080p it's over.
It's over. It's almost over.
No, right. It's not a hard stop, but I mean, it's. I think you said it. I mean, it's we had a 10-year run.
Yeah, we had, and it was a good run. Listen, I think it's amazing that we had a 10-year run with 1080. And listen, for the people listening, we're not saying it's over. People aren't going to buy 1080. But here's the thing. This is my point. Cable did not catch up to this. The main way people view content did not catch up to the race to the higher resolution. We were talking about DirecTV Now last week, and I got a lot of feedback about this. This may be the year that we see a service like DirecTV Now that changes all of this and starts streaming 4K content, and that's it. Goodbye. This is what was necessary. We're looking forward to this. So the more sets are selling, the better it is. More content is available. But 4K did make a major push in 2016, and it's going to make even more of a push in 2017. I'm excited to see it because I will most likely buy a 4K set this year. It'll be fun. Paul, let's go into VR and AR. In 2015, I crapped all over this thing, and I said the VR headsets suck. I was not a fan of that that Samsung one, the Samsung VR. I thought it would look terrible. It was not good. But I did say we need more time with this technology, and we did get that, and it's improving every year. There's so much more support for VR, especially in the last half of the year.
Right. I think our options for VR have expanded dramatically this year. They're going to expand dramatically again next year when Microsoft enters the market with all of its partners, and that's great. And what it's created is this market of different price points and capabilities from just basic VR to interactive VR, to augmented reality or mixed reality or merged reality, whoever you're talking to. We all have different names for this stuff. But this is, like I wrote an article, this isn't a fad. And I know this is just like 4K. A lot of people are like, yep, no, it's not happening. And it's like, no, guys, it is happening. And I've used so many different examples of why virtual or mixed reality or whatever it's called, whatever you want to call this stuff, is so important and is so real and is going to be with us for such a long time. But and you get into these weird little arguments about people. I'll say something like, I've used the example, like they could just make a 360-degree video of a cafe in Paris. And I could sit there with my headset on and listen to the glasses clinking and, using that kind of positional sound capability that is often available. I'd be in Paris. It'd be amazing. To which someone would say, yeah, that's cute, but why don't you just go to Paris or whatever? Well, in my case, it's because maybe Paris is too expensive to go to. Or what if I'm handicapped? What if I just can't go? I mean,
what if you wake up that day and you say, you know what, I really want to be in Paris, and you put your super goggles on, and now you're in a cafe in Paris. Why not?
And it kind of scratches that itch, and now I don't have to spend $3,000 on a trip, or whatever.
Because that's all Paris is, right? You just walk into a cafe for about 15 minutes and you leave, and that's it. I got the experience. I'm done.
Well,
I'm done here.
Once you've done all the major sites, that is what Paris is.
Yeah.
Look, that's just one example. I mean, I've played some kind of immersive games on the phone here with the Pixel and the Daydream View VR, which is very interesting. I think one's called what's it called? Layers of Fear, I think, which is really interesting. Simple experiences like Google Street View, which get better and better as we move on, and just the 360-degree video stuff. There's a video out there on YouTube VR, which is a 360-degree video of a like a 360-degree camera mounted on a weather balloon, and they just send it into the stratosphere.
That's amazing.
And so you're being pulled up by the balloon. And you can look around and you can see the people waving to you as you go higher and higher and higher, and the town appears and the hills appear and and eventually you go through the clouds and it's snowing, and then you're above the earth and the earth is curved and it's dark, and it's like this is incredible. you know?
This is the
And
beginning. This is how it works.
and by the way, there's an example of something I will never physically experience. It's never going to happen. And that's why this stuff is important. And it's not just games. And by the way, games will be a big part of it. I think games have been a legitimate kind of art slash, whatever medium for a long time. I think we all, most people would at least agree to that. But that will be a big part of it. But I'm looking beyond games. I'm looking to, educational things like the balloon thing I described. This is an educational experience. It's a wonderful thing. And if you like space flight or any, this stuff is all out there. There's just a lot to it. And it's not a fad. It's not something that's going to go away because you don't get it. And I think it's time for people to kind of wake up to that. And in the article, as I explained, you can experience this for as little as $15. Don't be stupid and deny yourself this. Just go get a Google Cardboard. It's not super interactive. It only has one, little button on it. The Daydream View is great because it has a real controller, but it only works on certain phones. And so,
but you know what
Google,
it is? It's a small preview into what the possibilities of VR and AR could be.
Well,
and I have to tell you, I had the Samsung VR headset with my phone. It was
Same
cool
thing.
for about 3.5 minutes, and then I was like, I'm done.
Well, it depends on what you do. So you have to hit on something that works for you, that is magical to you. We all have different trigger points. I mean, so.
But with that said, Paul, I'm not saying that the technology isn't going to turn into something great. I'm saying right now it's in its infancy and it's getting better,
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I am saying it actually already is great, and you're right. It's absolutely going to get better. I kind of compare it to the video game industry. If back in the early 1980s, when all we had was an Atari 2600 or an Intellivision, those things were super blocky graphics. They went out over a VF converter onto a tube TV. They were super low quality, but they were so immersive and fun and so unique that we overlooked all that stuff. We were playing baseball or football games where the characters were just, a 6x6 cube. It didn't look like anything, but we fell into the immersiveness of it. And VR today is actually better than that. I mean, you could make the argument a lot of these 360-degree videos I'm talking about are kind of like VHS quality compared to like full HD or 4K or whatever. And yeah, fair enough. Absolutely. They're still awesome. You need to look at this.
Where do you see it going within the next 5 years with VR? I mean, 5 years from today, when we're doing this in year 2021, oh my God.
Well, I mean, all right. So this would not be interesting, right, for us. I mean, I could set up a camera array in my office, and you could be in front of me watching this, kind of seeing this view of me, but you could also maybe move around the room or, swivel in space. And it could, and they have events like that, right? You can watch concerts that way today, or they have political events or like this, or any live event. These things still exist. So would that be interesting for this podcast? No. I mean, no. There's nothing to see here except for a mess. But it's not so much about like you and I. I mean, hopefully, well, no, indisputably, like, quality goes up and all that kind of stuff. But it's just like any other content medium, whether you're talking about like full HD or 4K or VR. It's about getting the content there, and it's the content that puts it over the top. Remember, with HD, it was sports.
Yeah,
the first time you saw NFL football in HD, it was like, oh, what? And then there were these people who were not into technology and they liked TV, whatever, but they saw that and they said, oh no, I have to get that. And they got it just for that one game a week they were going to watch for 16 weeks in a year. They spent $2,000 on an HD TV. That's going to happen with VR too. And it's going to be different for everybody, like I said, but there's going to be something for you, and it's going to make all the difference in the world.
You know what was interesting about the HD thing? So do you remember the whole thing was get your big screen TV before the Super Bowl? So these people would go out and buy these crappy projectors that were they looked terrible, but it would be like a 75-inch Mitsubishi, and they would get that before the game. And then you saw HD, and you're right. It was you saw that thing, you said, "Oh my God." You're absolutely right. This is what it's going to be. We're going to look at this thing in 5 years and compare what VR and
by the way, it could be sports.
Maybe.
It's not, sports is tough because the presentation of a sporting event is multiple camera angles, and it kind of moves around, and it goes from the field to close-ups to people in a booth to, it kind of moves around. And so there's a sort of a virtual live experience you could have, but you couldn't jump around too much because it would probably be nauseating. But if you could kind of pick your seat in the stadium and sit there virtually.
Oh, I
and
can
watch
see the
game from
NFL
home.
selling this already. Your virtual ticket. You pay
And you could have
$20. You pay $20
picture-in-picture
and you get your
with
virtual ticket.
the commentator stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. This will sell. There's no doubt about it.
I'm telling you, arenas that are like 25,000 people. You go to like a Knicks game, it's like 20,000 people. They're gonna sell another 3,000 seats with these VR headsets. You sit in your living room with your friend, and you guys get a ticket. You pay your $10 ticket, and now you're watching this thing in VR. And it looks. And by the way, if that thing looks really sharp, really good, it'll sell. Absolutely, it'll sell. I wouldn't mind going to a Knicks game in my living room. I don't have to be around all those drunks. I'm the only drunk around.
That wouldn't solve it not being around drunks.
I'm still around drunks. It's just me this time. I think it is interesting, and this is going to be a great conversation to continue having. Guys, before we continue, I want to talk about our sponsor, and that's Braintree. If you're a mobile app developer, if you have an application and you're looking to accept mobile payments, why not use a service that Uber uses, Airbnb uses, GitHub uses, Living Social uses? The list goes on how many companies rely on Braintree for their mobile payment solution. Braintree makes mobile payments so fast, easy, and seamless, it's almost magical. Added to your app, it's just a few lines of code, and you're instantly ready to accept mobile payment solutions like Apple Pay, Android Pay, PayPal, every major credit card, and even Bitcoin. If you have an application and you have a store, for example, and you're accepting payments, it is such a pain in the butt when the next major payment solution comes forward, like Android Pay or Samsung Pay, and now you got to hire a whole new developer. You got to do all this stuff. And Braintree makes it super easy. Just a couple lines of code and you're ready to do it. You can learn more by going to BraintreePayments.com/whatthetech. That's BraintreePayments.com/whatthetech. It's a full stack payment solution. Support for all payment types. I want to thank Braintree for supporting the show. Of course, supporting the GFQ network. BraintreePayments.com/whatthetech. Paul, let's see what else. Will you pick one on the list that you felt had it was really good for 2016?
Why are we doing it this way? Let's just go down. We should just go down.
Let's go down. Let's go.
I don't want to forget it.
Okay. USB Type-C and Thunderbolt.
No, I don't want to do that.
Okay. Forget about that.
No,
okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Actually, this is another one I feel really strongly about. And like the previous two topics, I get a lot of pushback on this. USB-C and /Thunderbolt 3, right? Because you can have a USB-C port by itself. It's just USB. USB is not particularly interesting by itself.
Yeah.
But when you add that Thunderbolt 3 capability, everything happens. It is the magic wonder port of the future, except that it's here today. So it's small, it's reversible, that's cool, neat. But it does everything. It does storage, it does displays, it does multiple displays. This enables devices that never had docking solutions to suddenly have very elegant docking solutions where you literally have one cable going to your laptop.
Yeah.
And it drives all this stuff and does the power to the laptop. It's astonishing. So think about something like the MacBook Pro, right? Which by no measure should be on the best of anything list for 2016. But think about the one thing that is right now for this product line. Apple has USB-C /Thunderbolt 3 ports on both the base MacBook now and on the MacBook Pro. And they've got this kind of vestigial MacBook Air floating around for some reason, but let's just pretend that doesn't exist. Apple has not had a docking solution for the Mac, portable Mac, since the early 1990s, the Duo Dock. I think I brought this up a couple of times this year. All of a sudden, and by the way, we talked about those hokey docks that people have made where you have to line up all the stupid ports, and it's got like a little rod thing that goes into the Microsoft port, and I mean the Microsoft.
I want this port. Apple, this fictional MacBook to go into a Microsoft port.
Yeah, Microsoft port. Turn it into a PC.
Into a PC. Yeah.
So now what you have, and then you still have to power it, and there's all this other stuff. It's terrible. It's stupid solutions. Now they just have these USB-C /Thunderbolt 3 ports. Perfect. You just have one cable. And now any USB-C /Thunderbolt 3, which is a tedious thing to say, dock will work with any Mac that supports this port. It's done. They went from being laughingstock to having better docking solutions than are available for any Surface today.
Yeah.
Period. That's how important this is. It's huge.
Well, I mean, it's becoming a universal plug, essentially.
It is
USB
literally,
Type-C.
yes,
Yeah.
it literally is putting the universal in universal serial bus. And it's universal because, it works across devices, yeah. But it's universal because it does everything. It's awesome. People are freaking out about dongles, but as I described in an article earlier this year, we always had dongles. In fact, yeah, I have one right here. This is the first Ultrabook. I literally have the first Ultrabook, not the first one made.
The Asus?
Yeah, the Asus, right? And so this Asus has these stupid little ports, right, on the side. And what are those little stupid ports? They're things that are either standard or non-standard. I think one of them is a non-standard Asus thing, and I think the other one might be a mini, like HDMI kind of thing, or a micro HDMI, or whatever the heck it is. Whatever it is, you need a dongle to use either one of those things because no one has these cables. And certainly in 2011, I think, or whenever this came out, 2010, 2011, no one had these cables. So what did you need? Dongles. Was anyone freaking out about dongles then? No. When I take my Surface Pro or my Surface Book on a trip and I want to connect to Ethernet
Bring a dongle.
at the hotel, what do I need? I need a dongle. Dongles are the red herring of this year. This is a faux outrage over no problem at all. This is a modern, future-proof port. The bandwidth is astronomical compared to USB, and it enables everything. This is the single greatest thing that happened to PCs this year. And it didn't actually happen this year, but it's exploded in use. It is such a wonderful thing.
It's happening to phone now. Samsung has said, HTC has said that the next generation main phones that they have, their flagships are going to be USB Type-C. And by the way, they are removing the headphone jack. Almost everybody's going to remove the headphone jack at this point.
It's
weird, but they're all taking it out.
The only problem with USB-C / Thunderbolt 3. Is Thunderbolt 3 happening on phones, really?
USB-C.
USB-C is. So the port is. So the only problem with it is on phones, it's not truly universal. Apple's not going to use it on their phones. And I can assure you Apple will never use it on their phones because the existing cable they use on their phones, the lightning adapter, the lightning connector, is smaller than USB-C. So as good as USB-C is, for phones, actually, lightning makes a lot more sense if you're concerned about a very thin device. It just enables a much thinner form factor.
So do you think Samsung is going to have their own version of a USB Type-C adapter on their phones?
No. I don't mean it like that. Where USB-C is available, it will be universal.
Yeah. Okay. I don't see Apple doing it.
Oh no, they'll never do. Are you kidding me? They just took the headphone jack out of their phone because of size issues. You think they're going to go to a thicker port now on the other thing?
You know what? I would love them to do it.
I would too, but it's just not going to happen.
I do think it's interesting how this became standardized, and people are really upset over this at first,
and now for no reason.
And now it's kind of changed where people are realizing what a convenience this is. That you don't need all these other ports; you just need one port with a breakout, and you're good.
One thing also to mention here is that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. A lot of smaller, thinner devices, especially, are going all USB-C. So even HP makes a device called the Elite X2. It's kind of a Surface Pro 4 clone. It's all USB-C, and so they use that for power, obviously, and they use it for peripherals. And if you have like a dongle or something, a USB memory stick, you have to use a dongle. Okay. But there are also devices like the HP Spectre X360, which you have on the list here for best of 2016, which absolutely deserves to be, which takes a sort of a calmer approach to the future. It has 2 USB-C ports / Thunderbolt. They use it for power. You can use it for expansion, docks, whatever. But on the other side of the device, unlike on an Apple, there's a standard USB 3.0 full-size port, which is the thing that works with all the devices you already have. So, there's your step to the future, right? Will a future HP Spectre X360 probably drop that port? Yeah, I think so. Probably the next one will. But now, this is how you make the transition. In the PC space, we don't tend to see as radical a change as happens on the Apple side. But whatever. I mean, the change is happening, and it's a good change. It's a wonderful change.
It's a great change. since you brought it up, let's talk about this laptop. The
Yeah.
HP Spectre X360. I have to tell you, this was the winner in my eyes.
Yeah.
I spent some time with this. One of my good friends has it, and I absolutely love this laptop. It's
So there.
I don't know if it's necessarily the best in everything that it does, but it does everything really well. The form factor is beautiful, and HP really should be proud of what they created with this because they are back in the game. As far as, forget about the HP of a couple of years ago. This is a great laptop.
Yeah, I've got one here. I'm kind of opening it up, but it's a, it's thin and light and wonderful, and there's the USB-C ports. I think they're on that side. It does the whole. It's a laptop, but it also flips around. You can use it in tent mode and laptop mode and everything else, and it's it lays flat and all that stuff. It's nearly perfect. I haven't done my end of year write up for PCs. It's either in my opinion is either the single best portable computer of the year, or it's a tie with the ThinkPad X1 Yoga.
So
which is similar.
You really like the X1 Yoga, huh?
Yeah, they do such a great job with the keyboard. They do a great job with the pointing device, which again has that nubbin kind of thing in addition to a traditional trackpad. But they also, because of the materials they use, it's interesting. This is a slightly thicker device because it uses it's a piece of aluminum that they bore out like a CNC process. Really high quality, really premium materials, brushed metal sides and all that. The Lenovo, it's a little plainer looking, but it's also magnesium, composite, super sturdy materials, and it's thinner. And so thinner, lighter is always pretty good. But the other thing about that device is the 14-inch screen. And, that's of particular interest to me. So I think they're in the same spill-proof, yeah.
This is the one that the keyboards go into the body, right, when you put it into tablet mode?
Does that happen?
I believe that this one does that. Yeah,
I don't remember.
Does.
See, I have to go back and look at my write-up about it. The way they do it on the so the issue is this, like when you I don't know what they call this mode, like think about the presentation mode,
convertible mode.
So you flip it over backwards so that the screen is forward now, right?
Yeah.
And the thing that where the keyboard would normally be is the bottom. So the problem in this scenario is that the keys are now under the machine. And what people have found on the early designs of these kinds of devices is that you could break keys depending on the surface of the table or whatever you were putting it on. And so I think you're right about I have to go look at my review.
It does. I just looked it up. It does go back into the
so they recede the keys a little bit into the body, which is kind of a neat approach. HP has little feet that prevent the keys from, being the thing that's on the surface. It's kind of like you get a case for like an iPhone 7S Plus and a 7 Plus, and it prevents the camera bump from being the thing that hits the table all the time or whatever.
It is interesting how this concept of a couple of years ago, we always, it exists still, but the concept was Macs are a premium device and you pay way more than what you're going to get on a Windows side. But the last couple of years, this gap has kind of gotten smaller because the Windows machines are, all these manufacturers are making these premium devices, like Lenovo and HP. And you know what? You're going to spend about $1,400, $1,500 on these things.
Yeah. You can. The HP you can get for $1,000. I think $1,050 if you go to Best Buy. In fact, that's the version I would buy. The Lenovo tends to be a little more expensive. They always have sales, though. You can get a very decent version of that, I think, for under $1,200 right now. So it depends, when you buy it.
Yeah, it's interesting how the pricing has changed. I'm looking at the Lenovo right now, and there's only one model that offers the higher resolution, 2560 by 1440 display, and that's It's starting at $1,600.
Yeah, but I wouldn't choose that version.
You would take the 1080p, the 1920 by 1080. Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. I once again, I really was happy with this Lenovo when I used it. That's not saying that there weren't other devices that came close to being great.
Were there?
I don't know. You know what? You're right. The Lenovo was
honestly,
good.
I don't think there were, but
the Lenovo, the HP. Would you put the Surface Book 2 in there?
No,
you would not.
I'm having a serious case of deja vu here.
Why? Because we
I
discussed,
don't know.
we
I
did
feel
the
like
same
we've
thing
had
last
this
year.
kind of discussion before. I wouldn't personally. And when you say Surface Book 2, what you really mean is Surface Book with performance base.
Yes, yes.
I
I
don't
want to
have
say
enough personal
current.
experience. Yeah, the car. Yeah. So the problem with all the Skylake Surface devices, Surface Pro 4, and any kind of Surface Book is that they've had serious reliability problems, and that persist to this day. And so not all people experience it. It's interesting. Some of them kind of come and go with different firmware updates, because sometimes that fixes the problem for some people and then it causes more problems for others. It's something they just really haven't gotten a handle on. And so those devices are in kind of a weird gray area because they're beautiful. And I love the Surface Book. I love the screen. I love the size of the screen.
Yeah.
Just the quality of the screen. It's a 3000 by 2000 resolution screen. It's incredible. Why is that thing unreliable? You know, and it's just kind of a...
Didn't Microsoft say that the hardware reliability issues were gone and they had fixed everything recently?
Yeah, Microsoft says lots of things, Andrew. It's not true.
Let's talk about something a little bit more controversial here, right? This is
Okay,
probably the
good.
first one on our list that will
Yep.
be on the best of and worst of list.
Yeah.
And that is Windows 10 anniversary update. I have to
Not
tell
just
you,
Windows 10.
Windows 10 in general.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, this will be more on my worst of than my best of. And I'll go into detail next week about it, and it's most likely something that I've ranted about on the show. But there are a lot of aspects of Windows 10 that obviously they're going to be on this list. Well, why is it on your list? You tell me why it's on the best of 2016 list.
Well, first of all, I write primarily about Microsoft, and primarily within Microsoft about Windows. And so I see a lot of the world through that kind of a lens. I still care very deeply about the PC it's something I use all day long, every day. It's a big part of my whole daily life or whatever. Windows 10 is the best thing that's ever happened to the PC. There's no doubt about it. When I did, I've not really published any of them, but I have a big list of end of year posts that are coming. I've done a lot of research off of my own site, meaning I went back through all my archives from the year. What did I write about? And I kind of fleshed it all out. The first one I was going to write was going to be about Microsoft's year in 2016. Kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly, or the yin and the yang, or the with us, against us, however you want to present that. I'm not even sure yet how I'm going to do it. And so I'm filling out this article. You know, here are the topics. These are the things that were big. And if you think about something like Windows 10 is something that happens again and again and again. So at the top of this article, there's going to be a big section about Windows 10. Oh, yeah, this happened. Oh, yeah, this happened. Oh, yeah, this happened. This thing got so big. It's so big. In fact, it was bigger than the rest of the Microsoft stuff combined for me. I pulled it out and I wrote a separate article. And not a 1,000 word article, not a 2,000 word article. I wrote a 4,000 word article just about Windows 10, and I glossed over stuff. And I identified 4 major events of the year, most of which were actually pretty negative, as it turns out.
Interesting.
But here's the thing. Brass tacks. You know, Windows 10, like I said, is the single best thing that's ever happened to the PC. It really is, for all the problems.
Yeah.
And there are many. We'll talk about them next week. It is, and again, it didn't happen this year. They've been refining it. Obviously, Windows 10 came out last year, but we're with Windows 10 now for the duration. I mean, we're going to have new versions of Windows 10 as we go. This year, we only had the one, right, the anniversary update that shipped in August or in November, you know, depending on who you are.
But yeah.
This is, I still feel like Windows 10 is this computer science success story. That the problem with Windows 8 before it was that they created this system that didn't work well on anything.
Yeah.
How do you fix that? And I think a lot of people were saying, look, could you just get the touch baloney out of Windows? Stop pretending it works on tablets. Just bring back the PC part of it and make this other thing something else. And honestly, you could argue that would have been the path to least resistance, but they didn't do that.
You know, it's amazing how they went back, though. I mean, we did this a couple of years ago, and the idea was that this is it. This is going forward. This is the grand vision. This is what they're doing. And when certain people left the company, that entire concept went out the window, and they reverted back because people were yelling and screaming and saying, listen, it doesn't work well on a tablet and it doesn't work well on a desktop. What is this?
Yeah. Piece of crap is what it was. So they fixed it. And I have to say, it is a success of the highest order that Windows 10 works as well as it does. across such a wide range of PC devices, but it also works in all these other devices. They brought it to the Xbox, they brought it to the Surface Hub, they brought it to phone, they brought it to IoT. It's everywhere. It's amazing. And there's all this stuff you kind of get just by being part of this broader ecosystem. You get some of the benefits from the mobile world. You get the Xbox cross-play capabilities and game streaming capabilities. I know there are people out there who are going to argue that, you know, Windows 8.1 or something was better on tablets or whatever. But nobody uses anything on tablets. That's ridiculous. It doesn't matter. Windows 10 is awesome on the tablets that people actually are using, which are not really tablets. They're 2-in-1 computers. They have continuum capabilities, and they can switch between form factors. And that is literally so good, it's almost magic. It really is good.
It's a, you know, as Microsoft, from beginning of 2016, you really saw their vision play out where they've become this company where everything is on everything. Don't worry about it. You get Office on the Mac and on Android and on, you know, it's everywhere you want. You want it on tablet, you got it. You want it on the phone, you got it. And it's a major pivotal shift from where they stood even, you know, a year ago. They've really, the philosophy behind the company has totally changed with Windows 10 and the new guard that is kind of running the place now. I would say that they had a very good year, successful year. Their hardware is solid. Their software is solid. And you're kind of seeing their grand vision of what the future will be, because the biggest story has been they don't want to be another IBM. They don't want to be another IBM. Well,
sure.
IBM is still making a lot of cash, number one.
Yeah.
Why can't they be another IBM and be something else and be Microsoft at the same time? And we're seeing this, you know, with the cloud services and everything that they're doing. God, I can't wait till next week to talk about
This is a
Windows
longer
10.
conversation to be had about Windows 10.
Way longer conversation, because it's great for most people. And when it's not good, the reliability issues that I have faced are, I mean, just, I don't know.
Let me look at my.
I'm stunned.
Let me pull out some good points from this year,
pull out some good points. I want to see some good points.
I know this is hard for people.
This is hard for me. And I'm shutting my mouth on this episode about this.
No, I know it's tough. I mean, it's tough. This didn't happen this year, but they did announce this year that Windows 10 is being ported to ARM, right? This is going to enable a new generation of highly portable computers with built-in cellular data capabilities. Astonishing.
I was shocked, actually. Last week we discussed this, right? Was it last week or the week prior? Yeah. I was shocked at the amount of I guess resistance I got back from feedback saying,
sure, no, of course.
I guess do you guys do your show on an ARM chip? And I go, dude, you're totally missing the conversation. You're totally missing the point of
You're
this.
missing the fact that a desktop computer doesn't need good battery life or cellular data capabilities.
Yeah.
By the way, I do think we're eventually going to be doing it on an ARM chip. I think ARM is literally the future for the PC.
Interesting.
But you know what? Don't worry about that part of it.
Yeah.
The point of this is this can happen because of Windows 10, because of that stuff I just talked about, how it's available on all these different platforms, right? The ability to bring it to ARM in this capacity would not have been possible with all the stuff that had come before, all the stuff that made Windows 10 possible. So anniversary update is in there. I wrote in my review that this is this release makes the best version of Windows even better, and there's a whole laundry.
Windows on ARM is the direct future of continuum. When this happened, you know, we keep saying it was Intel, but if you step back and you look at their openness to put Windows on ARM and the future of PC, they go hand in hand. If we could get Windows, full-fledged Windows working on ARM 100%, this is really, obviously there's emulation and stuff to play, but if we get emulation on a chip, we're not going to have a lot of those issues that emulation creates. So it's a very interesting discussion for next year. We'll
see. They unleashed their plan for combining Xbox and Windows gaming. That's huge. I already mentioned that. The stuff around, Microsoft has this thing called the Signature PC program, and that's been kind of watered down a little bit over the year, which isn't great news. But I complain a lot about crapware, and one of the things that Microsoft added to Windows 10, which is so awesome, and this is brand new to this year, is a new tool called Refresh Windows. Refresh Windows works like Reset This PC, which is built into Windows. But the problem with Reset This PC is that if you buy a computer from like Lenovo, Dell, HP, whoever, they can modify this system image that thing resets to. So if your goal is to get rid of all the crapware that your PC maker put on there, you can't. It just comes back every time you reset the PC. refresh Windows doesn't look at the thing that the PC maker put on there. It downloads the latest, freshest copy of Windows 10 and installs that instead.
Oh, that's great.
Brilliant.
So
Solves
essentially,
the
it's a
problem.
signature PC. You know,
It's excellent.
That's great.
Let's see. One thing I wrote about this year was that the built-in universal Windows platform apps that are in Windows 10, Mail, Calendar, the Xbox app, the Photos app, all this stuff. That stuff it's always been kind of basic, right? This stuff all dates back to Windows 8. It's cute and it's fun. One of the things that's really interesting about this stuff is that those apps have been updated regularly, and all of a sudden, those things work really, really well. And one of the things that's very striking to me is that people who are very technical or who are in the industry, people like Raphael or Brad or people like Mary Jo, are actually using these apps. Like they're using the Mail and Calendar apps built into Windows 10. Like they're that good. That's kind of amazing. And the Universal Windows I don't know, I'm losing my voice because I'm turning into a teenager. The Universal Windows platform stuff is obviously going slowly, but we did see some amazing things this year, including the bringing of like full desktop apps to the store with Universal Windows platform wrappers on them. So apps like Evernote and Photoshop Elements, it's kind of the two big ones today. They're available in the store. They get all of the benefits you get from being a Universal Windows platform app, but they're the full desktop app too. It's really kind of amazing. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else. I mean, that's pretty much the most of the good news, I would say.
For Windows. Obviously, next week we're going to have a lot with that. Guys, before we continue, we're going to talk about phones. We're going to talk about games, a lot more stuff. I want to remind everybody, go to Thurrott.com right now, and they have a great offer for listeners of the show, for listeners of First Ring Daily. Your first gift of the season, you get 25% off Thurrott Premium membership. That's $48 for the year or $575 per month. It's a great offer from Thurrott.com. I'm a Thurrott subscriber. I have been from day one. I have a number. I forgot what my number is. My number changed, actually. I got to find out what my Thurrott number is. But you get all access to all the podcasts Paul's doing, the Thurrott Daily newsletter, members-only offers, ability to comment, forum participation. The list goes on and on. There's more and more of these benefits kicking in all the time. Go to Thurrott.com/holiday/FRD. That's Thurrott.com/holiday/FRD. $48 for the year, 25% off. For a Thurrott Premium membership comes out to $48 a year or $575 per month. Great offer. Normally $64 for the year and $7 a month. So you're saving a couple bucks here. I definitely would sign up. The offer is limited until January 3rd, 2017. Thank you, Paul. I don't know. What do I say?
You're welcome.
I'm not. Thank you, Paul, for this beautiful offer.
We did it just for you.
Oh, I know. Thank you. Let's talk about phone.
Mm-hmm. Phones, yep.
My picks this year. Samsung S7 Edge, which I own, and the iPhone 7 Plus. Those are the two top phones in my book. Obviously, there were a lot of inexpensive, close to flagship phones. And the reason why I have these two on this list is the one feature that I absolutely love and the one feature that really stands out from the rest of these phones, and that's the camera on these.
Yeah. By the way,
yes,
you posted a picture of a wine glass from Press on, I think, Instagram or Facebook, I don't remember. And it's a stunning example of just a snapshot that's gorgeous, right? It's just a beautiful, crystal clear, excellent image. And a good example of the power of that camera in the 7S, the S7.
I'm going to show you guys the photo, actually.
Yeah.
If I could find it. It was over the weekend, right? It was on Saturday. I was actually stunned because this was the first time I was really testing out the Pro mode on this camera. Okay. And this was the image that I was able to capture. Switch to the shot. There we go. That's the shot.
You got some bokeh going on there. Yeah. You got the glasses beautifully centered and focused on. And the colors are beautiful. A little bit of HDR look kind of to it, right?
Yeah,
kind
a little
of a nice,
HDR
colorful
going.
palette.
I thought this was a beautiful photo I took with it.
I do too. Yeah, I know it was notable. I mean,
and this was with this phone.
Yep.
It's amazing how close we're getting to DSLR standards. We're getting there. We're not there yet, obviously.
Yeah. No, there's
no way we're there. But every year these cameras are getting better and better and better. And I took this with just a couple
Yep.
minutes of playing. Obviously, if I spend more time with this pro mode and got the
Yeah.
ISO just right, I could probably done a
No,
better job.
I honestly, I think that's as good as it needs to be. It's really
That's
nice.
amazing. By the
Yeah,
way, I've seen iPhone shots that are as good, if not better.
yeah. It's funny. I believe that the iPhone 7/7 Plus is kind of the best phone in general, but it doesn't actually have the best camera, which is really confusing to me because they've kind of basically had the best camera or were tied for the best camera for a few years there. Samsung has really picked it up in the last couple of years. The Nexus 6P and Nexus 5X that Google put out last year were right there. The Pixel XL camera is very, very good. It's better than the iPhone. I don't know how it really compares to the Samsung, but that phone doesn't really make the list. There are too many issues with that particular phone. And I feel like I missed some opportunities this year to maybe look at lower end phones, like the Moto G maybe, or the OnePlus
3 now.
3T that just came out. That kind of price point is interesting and probably is the volume part of the market, frankly. And I need to spend a little bit more time on that stuff for next year. So I'll do that next year. But I mean, for me, the only one that I owned that I could put into this category would be the iPhone.
I really would like you to try the Samsungs, like the higher end Samsung, like the S7 Edge or like the S8 when it comes out. I would love to get your feedback on this because I know people that absolutely hate this because of the Samsung UI. I love the Samsung UI. I don't find anything wrong with it.
You can swap that out, right? You can actually put the Google Launcher on there if you want.
You can. I don't find a need to. I really like the Samsung stuff.
Well, I mean, if you want, but my issue with that is not so much the UI, although I don't like non-standard UIs. I mean, I went to Nexus very early on because it was pure Google, and I've always liked that kind of thing. But the only real issue I have with the Samsung stuff is just that you're not going to get updates for you're going to get like the next version of Android pretty much, and that's going to be the end of it.
I still have not gotten it, by the way. Samsung just launched. This is actually interesting what they're doing now, because of the way that Samsung delivers these updates, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a choice. Either you could do it over the air through Verizon. So I also have an S6 that I don't get over the air updates because I have no service connected. So you can install the Verizon tool and install it manually from a laptop. It goes to, I guess, whatever service and finds the latest version and installs it that way. Samsung has technically found a way to get around this by introducing the Galaxy beta program for the Samsung S7. So you could technically install through the Galaxy store, right? They have their own store, their Android app store. You install this app, and you could get the beta version. They're calling it the beta, but it's close to final version of the latest version of Android that they're working on. So this is another way to get around over-the-air updates. This may be a thing, and I mean, I truly think this will be something that we see happening more common next year, especially with Android manufacturers. Because, listen, it kind of is crappy that you buy this phone, you're spending all this money for it, and you're still on an Android version that's a year and a half old. So that's the thing that sucks about it. But they are introducing this beta program. And from what I know, it is not like an early stage beta. It's close to complete, and it's just this is how they're pushing it out there. I have yet to do it on my phone, so I'm going to. I installed the app. I signed up for the program. I'm waiting to get in, but it is an interesting thing that they're doing now. Yeah. So those are my two phone picks for the year. Let's talk about games.
Yep.
My pick this year was Pokemon Go. Not necessarily because I find it to be not necessarily
it's a global phenomenon. I mean, you can't.
Yeah. It has become this humongous thing, and it kind of brought back phone gaming, right? And it combines augmented reality, which it was really well done in this game. Seriously well done. It involves augmented reality. It's easy to understand. Anybody could play it. It really brought gaming back, and I feel like gaming on the phone took a major step backwards the last couple of years where, when that iPhone came out, for years, that app store was every week there was some new hot game coming out, and it kind of stopped. This kind of brought it back to the phone.
I would say, bringing it back, it maybe is underselling it. There have been some games, back in the day that were had major impact across all kinds of people and all that stuff. For example, Angry Birds or whatever. It was a big game. I actually think this transcends that. And I don't have numbers to back that up, but I would be surprised to discover that this wasn't, in fact, the biggest game of all time on mobile because it drew in people who are not traditionally gamers of any kind. My daughter, for example, couldn't care less about video games, and she was all over Pokemon Go. And I think the reason might be because it's not a traditional game. It's a social thing that you can do with your friends. And that was a big part of it. They would run around together with their phones finding Pokemon. And they would, it's people always, it's so much of technology divides us. People sitting at a dinner table in a restaurant, all with their faces in their own phones, not paying attention to the people around them. That kind of thing is sad. But there's a big misunderstanding about how technology can, in fact, bring people together. You go sometimes. I remember we went to like a holiday party years ago at a friend's house, and there was a football game on, and the guy's wife was adamant that we were not turning on the TV and we were not watching this football game because we wouldn't be paying attention to each other.
Yeah.
And my argument was, what are you talking about? Are we here to have a good time? I mean, this is a chance for us to interact with each other.
Yeah.
I just find, it's weird. We can get into these weird kind of discussions. Anyway, I think Pokemon Go, I didn't play it myself, but I watched my daughter do it, and I watched her in France when we were there over the summer. And we participated, it was a thing.
It was fun. Yeah.
My wife and I and her did together. Really, it was.
I did it with my wife. We would go for walks with the baby in the summer when the weather was better here in New York, and I would do, I would play, and I would go to press, and I'd hang out at the bar, and I would catch Pokemon at the bar, and people are drinking, people are playing it also. We're talking about. I mean, it actually.
It's something people are pointing to each other's phones. Oh, look at that! And
I have to tell you, I thought it was going to be the dumbest thing at first. Okay. And when I'll give you an example, Suncast, our editor, our producer here, he hates gaming. He never gamed. He's almost like me. I was really into it when I was younger, and I stepped back for a couple of years. And when I came back, it was a whole different world. It got very competitive. This is easy enough and simple enough for me to enjoy without having to commit hours. Like if I played Call of Duty now, right? I say, Paul, I'm going to play Call of Duty. I go and get the Xbox, I go and get the controller, I sit down, I get the game, I put it in. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to read, I'm gonna have to figure it out. It's hard to go into it, just like that. I feel like something like this, super easy. You pick it up, you figure it out. Okay, this is cool. Look, it's on my table, it's on the bar, it's on top of my sister's head. Yeah.
As you alluded to, it's augmented reality
done right.
So to all those people who believe this is never happening, it's a fad. This yes, granted. I mean, any game like this that has such explosive usage for a short period of time and then settles into something more normal might be seen as a fad. But this shows you how real this stuff can be. And it's cartoonish. It's silly. It's like a flat 2D cartoon thing sitting in front of the view out of your camera, so it looks like it's sitting there in the street, sort of, right?
And it looks great.
Silly.
I think
but
it looks
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
You take a snapshot. You're in the shower, and all of a sudden a Pokemon shows up. You're playing in the shower apparently, and it shows up there. I don't know why, but I've seen a lot of those shots. A Pokemon showed up in the shower. Why were you playing Pokemon in the shower? Why?
Sure.
So you have a couple picks here also for gaming.
Yeah. So the Xbox One S came out this year. I think this is the biggest console release of the year, and I say that knowing that Sony shipped a PS4 Slim and they shipped a PS4 Pro that they probably shipped about a year too early because Microsoft's about to come out of the gate with an even better console that will actually do 4K gaming, not just pretend 4K gaming. But what the Xbox One S does today is, first of all, much less expensive device, much more attractive device, much smaller device, quieter device, and it has all these additional capabilities, including 4K for video and for disc, which is amazing. I talked about that earlier. HDR capabilities, amazing. And it's just it does everything the original did. It's, if you want to use Connect with it, that works. If you want to do HDMI pass-through and have your TV go through it, that works. It's I described it at one point as the perfect thing. And it's on sale now through December 24th for $250, and
That's
all
great.
of these things come with free games, and it's crazy. It's such a great
Do
deal.
you think it's necessary to get the SSD drive?
There's actually no way to get a true SSD in
It's
this
the
thing.
hybrid, but
Yeah, I wish it was all SSD. I wish it was user serviceable so you could just do that. I've been meaning to write this. Raphael has worked on upgrading an Xbox. I wouldn't do this to an S, but if you have an original Xbox, it's out of warranty. It is if you bought it when it first came out. I don't know. Maybe it's time to take the screwdriver to it and look at that. The problem is the way that Microsoft did the hard drive interface in the Xbox One S. You don't actually get any performance benefit from going to SSD. The reason I would do it would just to get something that's quieter.
Quieter.
Kind of.
Also, there won't be a performance increase with the right. I mean, I would imagine there would be
because it's like SATA 3 or something. It's not.
Okay.
There's no like NVM, PCIe. That would be awesome, but that's not in there.
Do we know what they're doing with the next one that's coming out next year with the hard drives?
No, not fully, but the promise here is it will literally do actual 4K quality graphics while gaming.
So it would have to write and read much faster. Yeah. Very interesting. Which that's a discussion to have for our 2017 show.
Yeah.
And then, did you have anything else in the gaming?
Well, I just, So I mentioned there's a bunch of other kind of gimmies you get with Xbox One. Backwards compatible games. They just announced the BioShock games are all available now. So if you own those, they all work. Games with gold you get every month if you're an Xbox Live Gold, which you should be. The only other thing is my game of the year is actually, it's kind of goofy because you can't buy the game, is Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, right? So this is the original Call of Duty 4 remastered for HD and for the new consoles. You can get it on the Xbox One today, except that you can't. You have to get it when you buy certain versions of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, which I've never finished because this other game is so freaking good. It's just such an awesome reminder of how great Call of Duty can be. And so hopefully next year they sell it standalone. And sometime today we're supposed to be getting the additional maps, if I'm not mistaken. But what we basically have is the full single-player experience from the game, which is one of the best, maybe the best ever in the Call of Duty series. One of the best multiplayer experiences. I'm frankly kind of addicted to it. I've been basically just doing this for the past 2 months. Like I said, today it's going to get even better.
I'm a fan of remastering really successful games from old consoles.
I am too.
I think something like Call of Duty Modern Warfare remastered would be extremely successful. I've been hoping Nintendo continues on with the trend. They remastered Ocarina of Time, and it looked great. It looked really, really good.
Yeah.
I'm hoping with the next generation they actually put out a couple of games.
There are other excellent games, by the way. I mean, like Battlefield 1, which I've not gotten too far into, is unbelievable. Left 4 Dead is excellent. And then there's some games, they're like kind of these lesser games. You can't go into a store and buy them. You can only get them digitally. They're not AAA titles, but they have intriguing storylines, incredible presentations that are not, photorealistic. We're not talking about crazy AAA but they're awesome and beautiful. The Inside is one. Firewatch is an amazing one. Both of these games, it's funny, both of them suffer from the same problem. The ending of both is a little bit of a letdown.
Left 4 Dead.
I
like Left 4 Dead.
So there's all kinds of good stuff. So, but that's, for me, it's funny. I've been trying to rid myself of my Call of Duty addiction, and then they bring out this 9-year-old game again, and it's freaking awesome.
That's amazing.
It's just awesome. Yeah.
You also had here, before we wrap it up, new ways of learning in 2016, 21st
this
century.
is I have talked about this a lot, and I have yet to really write about it a lot. And I got to figure this out because there's all this new e-learning stuff out in the world. So obviously there are apps. We have these mobile phones. They have apps. There are apps. There are apps to learn languages. There are apps to learn programming languages. There's apps to learn about places, whatever it is. I've been using Duolingo for years. I don't know, at least 2 years, 2.5 years, something like that. I think I spent the first year learning Spanish. I completed it. I've spent the last year plus learning French. And, where I'm at, by the way, with that is I've mastered 42% of what the app provides for French, meaning that by any measure, I am a failure at French, right? I mean, 42% is not a high score. But I do it every single day. They do a nice gamification thing in Duolingo. I think it's really well done. And then this year, they added bots to the equation. And the bot system in Duolingo works like it does in a messaging app. You're communicating with a fake person who's throwing French at you, and you throw French back at them. And the more complicated your French, the higher your score, and they have little themed conversations. And it can be frustrating, like any bot or AI type thing can be today. But AI and bots, like anything else we talked about, like VR, like 4K, is, it's just starting out. It's happening. It's not a fad. It's happening. And I find that to be very interesting. But, e-learning goes well beyond that stuff. And I can only speak to my own personal experiences. But, for example, I've been, since June, I think, have been working toward getting a nano degree from Udacity for Android programming. It's actually very difficult. And I will say to you, my half-assed part-time approach to this is not a way to be successful.
By the way, you do know programming. You do know programming.
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, I do. That's true. Yeah, I have a programming background. My problem is I kind of coast into this thing a couple of times a week, and it's not enough. Like I am so busy with everything that I'm doing, with all of the stuff with the site and the writing and the stuff that people don't even know about. I find time to do Duolingo every day, and I don't find time to do the Udacity stuff every day. I try to do it 3 to 4 times a week at least. I try to spend serious time on it, like 30, 40, 90 minutes, 30, 60, 90 minutes, whatever. I'm still only about, I think, 67% of the way through. Like I'm never going to finish this thing. It's freaking me out, but I'm trying, and it's good. And but it's amazing because in the past, to learn something this complex, I would have to find a place that was local or sort of local. Like I'd have to go into Boston maybe, or go to some town outside of Boston that's not close to me, and I would have to deal with all the traffic and, whatever. This provides that same experience, but virtually. You can have one-on-one sessions with people that can help you. There are communities of forums and whatever, and the variety of stuff is incredible. But I'm talking about this tiny little slice of this world. There's so much more of this stuff out there. There's other things
absolutely, yeah.
You can learn, and other places you can go to learn. I don't mean to just say this is all that I've done, but it's incredible. And this stuff is only going to get better and better. And if you think about this from sort of a Microsoft perspective, Microsoft has these certification programs, and I think that stuff's going to go away, and it's going to become this stuff. And what you're going to do is earn a nano degree, or maybe they'll call it a certification because they're Microsoft, but you're going to earn the equivalent, whatever it is, in some topic, SharePoint, SQL Server, Exchange, whatever. And that will be the education you need to be considered an expert in that area, and it will be how you get a job.
That's amazing. I mean, it's an amazing change to the way that we learn. To kind of go without the certification stuff, I'm really disappointed that iTunes U has become this, forgotten thing. I really
iTunes is it's great.
I thought it was going to be this big thing, and I took a couple classes and on there, and I listened to a couple lessons, and I thought it was amazing, and I don't hear about it anymore.
Well, to be fair, it's still amazing. I think that iTunes U was actually, by the way, the beginning of this. To be honest, it was the first big thing like this. I don't know that it was literally the first, but to me, it's the first big one, and it led the way to this other stuff, and so. It's kind of like the VR stuff. You can have kind of a basic phone experience, or you can have an awesome but complex, experience on a PC. iTunes U is one way to get into this. And so let's pretend you wanted to learn Spanish. Well, there are iTunes U courses for Spanish.
Yeah.
There are ebooks on iBooks and a variety of other platforms, some of which are semi-interactive that will help you learn Spanish. There are podcasts which are free that will help you learn Spanish, Coffee Talk or Coffee, whatever it's called, the Coffee series of Spanish. I've taken those in the past. They're excellent. There are apps like Duolingo and Memrise and others that are also excellent. And I bet they don't call them nano degrees, whatever, but I bet there are these e-learning things where you can take a semester course virtually and learn Spanish. Or, by the way, get off your ass and leave your house and go to your local community college or whatever you may have in your area. I don't know. It varies from, location to location. What a wonderful world we live in. It's amazing. That all this stuff is,
or you want to be really lazy, go look up a YouTube video.
Yes, right. Of course. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, No, right. There's some guy out there probably on his own, like we're doing here,
Doing it, yeah.
who took it upon himself to come up with a curriculum to teach people Spanish, and it's on YouTube. I guarantee that's out there. Guarantee it.
It's an amazing time we're living in. This was our best of 2016 show. Guys, go to our website, gfqnetwork.com. You can subscribe to the show. We're everywhere podcasts are available. Do us a favor. 2016. Go on iTunes, go on your favorite podcast application, and hit the subscribe button for What the Tech. It's a huge, huge help for us. Whenever you subscribe, it automatically downloads. You get the shows archived right there. Boom, it's done. You don't have to think twice about getting the show. Also, patreon.com/whatthetech. You can fund us there. Keep the show going. Paul and I are going to do a couple minutes right after this, talking about some more stuff. Things that I look forward to in 2017. Really quick, little preview to one of our shows we're going to do in a couple of weeks. For all things Paul Thurrott, go to Thurrott. That's your new website. Thurrott.thought. Thurrott.com. Go there. Great offer over there for Thurrott Premium Membership. 25% off. This is a limited offer. Available till July 3rd. $48 for the year, $575 per month. You have the choice. You could either do monthly. A lot of people want to do monthly. Or you could pay for the year. This is a great offer. If you go to Thurrott.com/holiday/FRD, Thurrott.com/holiday/FRD, we'll have this in our show notes as well. You could go there and sign up. I'm telling you, just the podcast, the daily podcast with Brad and Paul alone is worth it. Just that alone. I genuinely enjoy listening every single day. I'm kind of forced to listen, but I enjoy listening every single day. It's a great show, and these two are great people, and why not support them? Paul, anything coming up?
No, I mean, between now and the end of the year, I'm going to publish a bunch of end-of-year roundups, right? So there'll be PC, smartphone, mobile apps. I think I'm doing VR, AR, wearables. There's a bunch of stuff. But so you can look forward to that. I think next week's worst of is going to be it's going to be good because there was a lot of crap this year.
Should we incorporate drinking in that episode?
No, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
All right.
Why don't we do that? That'll be fun.
I'll introduce you to my new rum.
Ooh, you know what? I'm going to open a bottle of whiskey.
During see what show. Belligerent Paul looks like.
You know what?
Let me tell you something, Andrew.
About your Microsoft.
About your Pinot Gris.
I've not had any wine in a couple days, except last time I drank was Saturday.
Except that one you took a picture of.
Except actually, I'll tell you about Saturday night. Oh my God, jeez, guys, stay tuned. If you're watching live, stay tuned. We're gonna record What the Talk. If you are downloaded this and you're watching this on YouTube or any podcast application, you could go to patreon.com/whatthetech and access the show there. We'll see you all next week. Take care.